Hi guys, Megan the Fibromyalgia Warrior here. Thank you so much for, you know, joining me, as it were, for coming to my channel, checking out my video. I really appreciate that you've taken that time. Now, I just want to start this video by saying today has been a bit of a strange one because it's September 13th and it's 25 degrees Celsius here in Colchester, England, where I live. And before you ask, no, I'm not English. It is a Canadian accent that you hear, which is where my family and I are all from originally. But we have lived here now for 11 years. Anyways, there you go. So, also, I just realized that my t-shirt, it's actually from one of my favorite bands. It's a heavy metal band, the thrash band called Creator. They're from Germany. They're amazing. But I was hoping to show it off, at least the logo, but I realize it's going to come off as probably backwards in the video. But anyways, that being said, so today, I know it's been a while since I've had my last video put up. And it's not because I've run out of ideas. I've had loads of ideas and all these great plans of things I can talk about, how it's going with my pain management, what sort of things are working, what things are not really working. But every time I'd get ready to make a video, there was that part of me that was just like, oh, I can't be asked. And sometimes it's because, the pain in my joints or my muscles was starting to flare up, or somebody was already using the computer, like my husband or one of my sons for college, and it just never happened. So today's perfect because right now I have the house to myself, and I've had now 2 regular cups of coffee since I was up this morning at around 8, and that is one more than I normally have in a day. Usually I might have one first thing in the morning, black, and other than that, I stick to decaf strictly. So this will be interesting. But anyways, I guess what I wanted to share was that, so this is the thing with people who suffer with chronic pain and fibromyalgia, is that we can have days where we finally feel like, all right, let's get up, let's do this, let's tackle this problem, let's get all this workload done that needs doing, let's do all the filing or whatever it is that we have been putting off or that we put aside. Suddenly we'll have bursts of energy like you see me having right now, and we're positive and we're upbeat, and that's great. And then it's hard for people to believe that we deal with chronic pain when we have these moments. And I thought this would be a perfect topic, because I just wanted to share that, I feel pretty good right now. My pain is minimal, and I feel like I have energy right this minute. So I just want to say that for those of you who already have chronic pain, or even whether it's fibromyalgia or something else, I understand. I get it. We have those times where we feel like we can actually get up and do stuff. And for those of you who are maybe married to or related to or just friends with somebody who struggles with fibromyalgia particularly, or other sorts of chronic pain as well, just because you see us like this, don't forget we can still be in pain. We can still suffer. Now, for some of you who might know or who don't know, sorry, if you do already know my background story, my apologies for being repetitive. For those of you who have not seen those videos of mine or who don't know my background story, I'll sort of try to give you a fairly quick summary to explain what's up with me and where I'm coming from. But my basic point is just to remember that, those of us who suffer with these invisible illnesses, like fibromyalgia, chronic pain, IBS, depression, anxiety, arthritis. But by the way, I deal with all of these things. Just because you don't see us complaining doesn't mean we don't suffer or that we don't, have stuff going on. And it's just really easy to judge somebody if you don't understand the whole story. And that's the frustrating part. As somebody who lives with these conditions, is that you can have days where you feel great. Okay, maybe not great, but you feel like you have more of you back and you want to get up and do stuff. But if you're like me and then you overdo it, then you get the rebound pain. And at that point, the muscle pain or the chronic illness pain, whatever it is you deal with, is back like you wouldn't believe. So basically what happened was 6 years ago, or 6.5 years ago really, so March of 2014, I ended up hurting my back. I was taking laundry out of the dryer. I was sort of twisting and bending down to grab it, like I always do, like most of us do. And when I went to go stand up, I couldn't. I could not straighten up. I was like bent like this. I thought it was my sciatica acting up. I thought I just pulled a muscle or something. Didn't want to complain. Didn't want to make a big fuss. I sat down, took some, over-the-counter painkillers, and I thought, if I go to sleep, I'll be fine. And wow, was that ever a mistake. I could barely move the next day. Yeah. And it just got worse. Essentially what had happened, and this took several months of being seen by massage therapists, osteopaths, nurse practitioner, the doctor that was on call for the company I used to work for, because I'd asked for a footrest because I was feeling my legs were getting numb and all this sort of thing. A referral to my own GP, until finally, I was sent for an MRI, and what they confirmed was that I had a prolapsed disc, which I did my own research. I came to discover meant I had a disc bulging out between my lumbar fourth and lumbar fifth vertebrae. So basically, it's hard to see because I'm wearing black leggings with a black top, but lower back, so just kind of above the bone part that leads into your tailbone, right at the bottom of my lower spine. That's basically where it bulged out. And suddenly I was having a hard time. I couldn't sit for long, but then I couldn't lay down for long. Everything hurt. And even though I got some cortisol injection put into me, and they had me trying to do a bit of physiotherapy, I was advised that because they didn't want to operate, I wasn't paralyzed. Basically what they said was that I would have to wait for the disc to kind of go back in on its own, retract a bit, but the ongoing pain probably wasn't the disc that had bulged out. And I'd always complained of lower back pain, even when I was younger. I found it hard to go running. It hurt my knees, hurt my lower back. With both my pregnancies, I had a lot of lower back pain. I had sciatica issues as well. They don't know, essentially they didn't know why it just suddenly happened then. Repetitive motion. I had maybe just reached a point where I had done enough bending and twisting that was just enough to push the disc out. They, meaning the doctors I'd been seen by, felt that I probably had several smaller prolapse discs earlier in my life that were causing me a bit of pain, but not enough to make me so I couldn't stand up straight. So that's where the back pain started from. I had fallen down some stairs when we were still living in Canada. I slipped and fell like 12 stairs, and I ended up fracturing my tailbone. I have, growing up in Canada, I spent numerous winters where at least once, almost every winter, I had slipped on either snow or ice. So, you do that. You grow up in a place where you fall on the snow or ice at least once every year. I used to play ice hockey and go skiing, so you wipe out a few times. It's going to take a bit of a beating on your lower back, because that's always where I landed, was on my butt. And they figure between that, the fact that I'm in my, at the time I was in my early 40s, I had 2 kids, so female, all the right signs to say that it was just probably a matter of time before the disc bulge happened. And they figure that's probably what set off my fibromyalgia. They don't know for sure. It's one of those, we don't really know. So, anyways, I was in severe pain. They put me on cocodamol, which is, for those of you who don't live here in the UK, that is essentially like being given Tylenol 3 with codeine. And I still take it, 2 of the pills at a time. So I think it's 60 milligrams of codeine with 1,000 milligrams of paracetamol / Tylenol 4 times a day. And that was to help with my lower back pain. But again, like I said, they think that's what set off the fibromyalgia. And that's where I had like burning and tingling all through my nerves, all through my arms, back of my neck, all across my lower back. I mean, outside of where the disc injury happened, all down the front of my legs, down to my feet. And, the medication for the back injury wasn't helping. So they then started me on, I think it's a neurological medication. I believe it was originally given to people with epilepsy, I believe. And it's called gabapentin. And that's supposed to help calm the feelings of the nerves. And when I first went on it, and I'm now up to 7 times 3, 2,100 milligrams a day. So 700 3 times a day. And to be honest with you, at this point, because your body does adjust to medication, I still feel that tingling at times. However, I would say that if I was to suddenly stop taking it cold, I would feel like agony beyond belief. I don't think I'd be able to move and get out of bed. So it does help. That's the thing, right? With chronic pain, is that it's, generally speaking, it's lifelong. And when it's chronic, as those of you know, and for those of you who don't know, your body will adjust to whatever medication you put in it at some point. So I'm at the maximum level of both of these items. They can't give me any more. And even if they did, I probably would find that it would help for a bit, and then your body just goes, all right, we're used to it now. Now it's going to hurt a bit again, right? I was back in 2012, I think, or 13. I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, which to me honestly was not a shock. I have been an anxious person my whole life, or as my mother would say, I was just quite the big worrywart. And even though I was started on sertraline, which is an antidepressant, but apparently it also helps. It's also supposed to help with your anxiety levels, and it's also supposed to, because it works on your neurological processes, it's supposed to help you to feel calm, which is supposed to help reduce your fibromyalgia pain, because they figure stress is a trigger. Although I think personally, fibromyalgia can actually be a trigger for stress and vice versa. Same with anxiety. But anyways, and depression. So it helped greatly with my depression, but the anxiety was still there. So anyways, they've got me on the most they can have me on, which is 200 milligrams a day at this point. And I know if I was to stop taking it, I would probably feel worse. I mean, unless I was eased off it, obviously. Um, and so that's what I was taking. And I reached a point last year before lockdown where I was just like, look, I'm in pain still. You know, what do I take for my arthritis? What do I do about, I have Raynaud's as well. Should mention, which is this condition where, whatever the reason, your brain sends out signals, and I've had it, by the way. I've had Raynaud's since I was a kid. I just didn't know what it was called at the time. Where my hands, my fingers and toes would always be cold. So even though it's 25 degrees out, and I'm perfectly comfortable in my t-shirt and leggings, my toes feel like popsicles. Don't ask. There's no logic behind it. That's just what it is. So, apparently, that is triggered by the fibromyalgia and the anxiety and, you know, any stress, but then it can also cause those things. So all this stuff works together, you know. So anyways, I was on all these medications, and I noticed that, well, especially after this past Christmas, I was hovering probably around 165 pounds. And my eating habits hadn't changed. I hadn't done anything differently. You know, I was very high carb, low fat. Fiber is good for you, even though I had issues with dairy, with lactose, even though I knew that eating gluten would make me bloat up almost instantly and make me feel like garbage. I was still eating it because I was told, well, if you're not allergic, eat it so you can get used to it, was the advice I was given by a GP. So I was at a point of trying to accept how I looked. I figured it's because of the medication I'm on, because some of the side effects is weight gain, but if I go off of this stuff, I'll be in unbelievable pain. I can't go to the gym. I can't take up running, etc., etc. I couldn't even lay on my back with my knees up for any length of time. And I didn't know what to do. And I remember in October last year, I went in, every year I would keep asking my doctors, please, can you run a thyroid test, a thyroid function test? Because I'm convinced I was always craving sweets. I had dry skin, and I had lost the outer third of my eyebrows and all this kind of stuff, yeah? And nobody believed that there was an issue. Even though my T4 levels were extremely low, like 2 or 3 times they came up as abnormally low, even though my TSH levels hovered in the low range of what they considered normal. And I thought, this can't be right. So even if my body thinks I have enough T4, how is that possible if I have abnormally low levels of T4, therefore they're not being converted, therefore my liver's not getting it, right? Something was wrong. And so the last doctor I saw agreed to run tests, and I found out in October my triglycerides were now abnormally high, as was my LDL and overall cholesterol, with my HDL being really low. And I just thought, well, he asked me, have you eaten anything differently? No, I've eaten the same way pretty much for the previous 2 years, and my weight hovered where it did. So that would put me around size 16, 18 here in the UK, or size 12, 14 if you're, Canada or the US. And I hadn't changed anything. So I was referred off to a lipid specialist to find out what was going on, because there's a history of hypocholesterolemia in my dad's side of the family, because my dad had it, his dad had it, and so they wanted to make sure I was fine. And of course, as it turned out, no, that's not what I was dealing with. Even though my liver was already in distress, and I came to realize when I followed up in March of this year, like literally about 4 days before lockdown, it was that basically my thyroid was underperforming. I had hypothyroidism. And the specialist didn't know if it was caused by my other issues, or if it was the fact that my other issues were what were leading to the issues with my liver and everything else. So, she said, okay, right, so you need to give up processed sugar, any processed carbs, and reduce your food intake to 2 or 3 portions a day. And then we'll see you in a few months for a follow-up. And at least for me at that point, I thought, oh, great. So my weight gain, as I thought, is not my fault. And if I just take this medication every day, I'm going to start to lose weight. And I remember as soon as lockdown was declared here, like it was the 22nd or 23rd of March, and I saw her on the 19th. And I got to say to my husband and my family, I said, look, see, I told you something was wrong. I have hypothyroidism and I have to take this medication. And the specialist had told me it didn't matter if I, what I was doing at that point, because until I got the necessary thyroids functioning and up to a normal level, nothing I did would make any difference. It wouldn't matter. And I believed her. And so lockdown happened, and we did do quite a bit of takeaways and some kebabs here and there and some fish and chips. And even though I knew I was going to pay for it later because of my IBS, I enjoyed it. I was like, yep, I'm there. Let's do it. I don't want to cook. Let's order in, etc., etc. And then, time went on. My kids didn't, but my husband and I definitely started to see a difference in how our clothing fit and or didn't, as the case may be. And I remember it was probably April. Yeah, it was probably April, mid-April, because we had some very unusual warm weather. And I remember I had to order a bunch of clothes because nothing I had from the summer before fit me. Not willing to see the fact that, I put on weight because I was eating crap. And I thought I was being relatively healthy. Maybe some potato chips here and there, but I would have maybe toast with peanut butter in the morning or peanut butter and bananas. And then I started eating a lot of oatmeal, mixing in a bit of, peanut butter and some fruit. And I thought, good, I'm getting full. This is great. This is perfect. Not realizing that all this stuff was causing me inflammation and therefore all this puffing and bloating and weight gain. And, thankfully, by the time probably around May 20th or so came around, and he had just stepped on the scale and he was like, babe, I put on 20 something pounds during lockdown. He said, this is crazy. Or 15 pounds maybe it was. He's like, no, I gotta get this off. This is ridiculous. This is not healthy. Because he deals with type 2 diabetes. And I thought, okay, great. Well, how am I going to do that? I can't go to the gym. I can't lift things and exercise. So what am I supposed to do? And he talked to his sister who was following a certain protocol because she was told she had Hashimoto's and she didn't want to have to go on thyroid medication. So she followed a paleo diet and she lost a lot of weight and she got herself healthy and it worked for her and it's great. She never had to go on medication, which is fantastic. He said, look, all I know is it worked for my sister. Let's get the book. Let's see what we can do. So I got it, bought it on my Kindle, read through it, and I was all set to start. He said, look, I'll do it with you. We'll do it together, at least for the first bit, right? Now I should add, he is an avid bicyclist. So he was able to get out when the weather was decent and get on his bike and ride for miles. And that was probably what was helping him not put on more weight than he had. So he had something. And I started on this paleo approach. And the first things I had to take out, it was easy because I knew it was stuff that I couldn't take anyways because it just totally did not do well with me. And that was no sugar, no soy, no dairy, and no gluten. And like I said, I'm lactose intolerant. I have a gluten sensitivity. I'm gluten intolerant, to be fair. almost at a mild allergy level. Like if I eat it, I will start to feel itchy in some parts of my skin. Same with if I get garlic in me by accident. I can't handle soy, and I hate it anyways. It's disgusting. And as far as the dairy, not a problem. I've known for years that I was lactose intolerant, that I can't handle lactose. I would just put up with it because I felt like, oh, I want to go get a pumpkin spice latte or an eggnog latte or a gingerbread latte or one of the many flavored lattes that are out there. So we did that for 2 weeks. And honestly, even though these were things I should have been giving up to begin with, I can't believe how crappy I felt just the first few days of trying to get this crap out of my system. And I didn't realize how much stuff, how much garbage was in like sauces and, you know, healthy breads and gluten, even gluten-free stuff, because of all the garbage that I came to learn I could not process at all was in there too. So we did that together, and you know, yeah, there were headaches, and I was super thirsty. I was trying to follow this paleo approach. It was all about making green juices or making green smoothies, and I went out and bought some pea protein powder because I thought, well, it's supposed to be okay if you have IBS. Got loads of avocados because I have always liked avocados, but I found that that was where I got stuck. My husband kept up with it, making himself fruit smoothies or juices and lots of salads and chicken and eggs and all this stuff, and he was doing well. I wasn't losing anything. I did this for another week or so, and I was so constipated and so bloated, and I just thought, oh, here we go. Here's something else that just isn't going to work. And I came across a YouTube video about the keto approach to eating, the ketogenic way of eating. And I started to follow that a bit more. Because there are certain green vegetables, it doesn't matter how I cooked it or how I served it, my body could not tolerate it. And the thing I started to learn is, well, then I've got to listen to what my body is saying, right? Green herbs and spinach and lettuces and all this stuff, the dark leafy greens, I've always had issues with. I could never eat them. Cooked or raw, it wouldn't matter because it would always cause me issues. So I thought, wait a second, there's got to be something else. And I was also reading through further in this book, and what it talked about was how, sorry, that was my older son. He's just asking about one of the shoes in the background. Sorry about that. One of the things that I have come to see is I had to learn to start going, oh, but if I don't like it or if it doesn't sit well with me, I don't have to eat it. And one of the things she said in her book is that if eliminating these 4 main food triggers doesn't help, then eliminate more. And so in the end, I had to get rid of all leafy greens, like dark leafy greens that I knew were issues, anything that was in the nightshade family, no legumes, no pulses, no cereals, no grains of any kind. And the hardest for me was nuts. And by the way, I did not know at the time, well, until that time, peanuts are actually not nuts. They're considered legumes. Like, what do you call them? Chickpeas. I had no idea. I don't know why we call them peanuts when they're not nuts. But that being said, I love nuts. I do. I love Brazil nuts and cashews and all these, especially when they're all salted at Christmas time. Oh my God, so good. Or roasted. Delicious. However, I've always known that as much as I like them at the moment, 10 minutes later, my stomach does not do well. And it is very unhappy with me. So I had to give up all nuts. And for me, I had to just do it cold turkey. Because I would say, right, I'll just wean myself off. But then I'd have a few, and then I'd have to have a few more, and then I'd have to have like, a quarter of a bag, and that was not good. And I just felt so sick afterwards. It's like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And that was as far as I could get with her book. And I thought, something's wrong. Like, why am I not feeling like I've been detoxed or cleansed out? And that's when I came across these ketogenic videos, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I can up my diet, or I can change something. And I learned about eating good quality animal fats and meats and products, to be fair, eggs and bacon and cheese, lactose-free cheese. These are my favorite things. And very, very, very quickly, I got rid of avocado. It was sort of the weirdest thing. I started to enjoy and love the taste of bacon and eggs. Right now, my favorite thing is bacon, ground beef, and eggs. And sometimes I'll do it like a beef patty. I'll just take 15% ground beef, flatten it up into a patty, throw it in the skillet, add a couple strips of bacon, and maybe put in a fried egg. And then that's kind of like my version of the McDonald's sausage and egg McMuffin, but without the muffin, obviously. And I love it. I love the taste. And it's just, as soon as I started allowing my body to enjoy the fat and a little bit of salt for taste, it was like there was this hole in my gut that was healed finally. I mean, after all these years. And I lost my taste for vegetables. One of the YouTubers I was following at the time talked about how the best way to approach keto, or in my case now fully carnivore, is you gotta go and you have to get rid of the starch. You can have people who are able to digest vegetables if they can. Absolutely great for them. I have no shade, nothing against them. If they can manage it, lucky for them. I cannot. I have always loved vegetables, especially ones you can eat raw, like carrots. Even as a kid, I would sometimes get I would feel like my tummy was full. But I never thought it was because of the carrots or the vegetables, because of course vegetables are good for you, right? Or potentially not as good as we would like to think. But I mean, that's what I grew up with. So I had to stop eating vegetables. And to be honest with you, the two hardest ones for me were potatoes and carrots. I love a good potato salad. Not that I've eaten it in years. More so, especially, I used to love a really good French fry. But the amazing thing is, the more animal food I put in my body, the less I was craving all these carbs. And as I came to learn from other YouTube videos, and especially now coming into the carnivore kind of world, I came to learn that, it's amazing that when we fill our bodies with good quality protein and fat, how much we really don't need the carbs. And it's been great. I snuck a couple of French fries. My birthday was just back on August 29th. My husband and kids took me out for a really nice steak dinner at a really, really nice restaurant just outside of Colchester. And it was the most amazing ribeye steak I'd ever had in my life. I even ate the crispy fatty edge. And if you know me at all, and you may not, but I used to hate it. It would make me want to throw up, and I would cut off the fat and push it to the side, and then I would get grossed out watching my husband eat it in the past. That night, I was like, no, I'm eating every little bit of this steak. There was even a little bit of gristle with a crispy bit of fat on it, and I ate it. I didn't chew it, but it was small enough I could just swallow it, and it was delicious. It was amazing. 10 ounces of steak, okay? I've never had that much meat of any kind in one sitting. And it was delicious, and I just ate till I was full, which, as someone at 48 who has spent at least 30 years, starting at maybe 12, and then add on 30 years of dieting, restrictive eating, even at times bulimic or having disordered eating, to actually let myself eat till I was full and enjoy the food and not feel guilty was such a great freedom. But anyways, that's a side point. So I was just feeling like, wow, it was amazing. And I had no interest in any of the salad or anything on the side other than I think I had maybe 1 or 2 mushrooms, which technically they're fungus. So I don't consider them a vegetable. And every once in a while I might have a 1 or maybe 2 if we're having it with rare occasions where we might do steak at home for a special occasion. I'll do up some sauteed mushrooms and some nice butter, and I might have a few on the side. Otherwise, I find that vegetables are too sweet, which is crazy. That's the other thing. My husband is still very much, he's lower carb, he's medium fat, and he's not eating like cakes and cookies and that type of thing, but because he hasn't given up his carbs fully, he still has the cravings. He still has that taste bud for that something. So I don't know. I'm hoping he might start to, eat more of the healthy meats and fats, and then he can just get the carbs up fully, and then will have no issues, especially with his type 2 diabetes, which I think he'll probably be able to fully reverse if he is able to do it. But it's not it's not for me to tell him that. I tell him what I'm eating, and then if he wants to, he can eat the same. But I obviously have to let him decide for himself how he wants to handle it. But anyways, the reason I'm mentioning this is I know I started my journey out with a paleo approach. And officially, because I marked it on my calendar, because we had to do 2 weeks, which they called the liver detox, which was the no soy, no dairy, no sugar, no gluten. And then it was supposed to be 4 weeks of helping your adrenals adjust by practicing self-care, meditation, and just maintaining, cutting out those 4 items. And then the following phase after that would be to heal your gut. For me, my gut was healed when I finally got all carbs out of my life, 0 carbs completely. So like for me, when I have coffee, even if I do have a regular coffee, or like today, as you can probably tell by the way I'm jumping all over the place, I had 2. If I put anything in it, it's a little bit of real butter, because I like the buttery taste it leaves, and to be honest, it helps actually remove any bitterness, because we just use basic instant coffee. I'll make something in our French press, but usually it's just a quick instant coffee, and sometimes the coffee can be bitter. And if like me, you don't use any sweetener or sugar or any sort of milk of any sort, you have to get used to it. And honestly, when I was in university, I was a 12 cup a day person. 12, like a pot's worth of coffee in a day. And that was also because I was in the throes of bulimia and restrictive eating, and caffeine can, help kill your appetite and your metabolism. But when I enjoy it today, I love the taste, but I can't handle the dairy. And by the way, alternative milk is not any better. It isn't. It's not better for you. There's all sorts of like chemicals and additives and stuff that's just not bad. This is not good for your system. Trust me. If you want to know more, you should check out videos from Frank Tufano, because he's got loads of videos about that, about avoiding nut milk and why. He's got some really great videos, actually. There are some great YouTubers out there. There's Kelly Hogan, and she hosts My Zero Carb Life. And you've got Sarah, I'm sorry, I can't remember her last name, but she goes by Carnivore Yogi, and she is amazing. Definitely check her out too. And there's also Laura Spath, and she's also carnivore, and she has some great videos. There's Dr. Barry, who talks about the keto/carnivore life, and his wife Nisha, who happens to also be a nurse. She is ketovore, meat heavy keto, And she's got some great videos about that stuff as well. Her channel is Nisha Loves It. But anyway, so yeah, digress. Again, like I said, my brain's woo everywhere. Anyhow, the reason I mention all this is because as I've been watching these other doctors, nurses, and also people who are just experts because of how things have worked for themselves, that's why I'm sharing this, okay? Because since May the 29th and today's September the 13th, I've gone down from 174 pounds. Okay, look, I'm 5'5", and I was weighing, I want to say 174 pounds, but the truth be told, I was probably closer to 175, not 174. But regardless, I'm down to 131 pounds. And all I've done is change my diet. And because of that, I'm not inflamed. Because the carbs are completely gone, my body is able to burn the fat that I eat as well as the fat I've stored. And even though I still deal with all the fibromyalgia pain and the arthritis can flare up, like in my wrist, I'm doing this a lot. I do talk with my hands, but it's also because my joints are a bit sore, and sometimes I do get that sort of tingling, burning in my legs from the fibromyalgia. And honestly, my back pain never goes away fully, but because my body doesn't have to try to fight the chronic illness and all of my inflammation from all the food that I was eating, my pain medication is actually effective. I actually sleep sound and solid, like so solid I don't even remember my dreams, other than once in a while my greyhound decides he wants to go out and chase something invisible in the backyard. But other than that, to be honest with you, my pain is so much better. It has so greatly improved, honestly, just by changing my diet. I have not gone off any of the medications that the doctor has said are required. So yes, I still take my levothyroxine first thing in the morning, 5 milligrams, I think, or whatever the lowest dosage is. I'm still on the same amount of cocodamol for my back. I'm still on the gabapentin for my fibromyalgia, and I'm still taking the sertraline for my anxiety. Now, I would like to think that if I was to slowly come off of these medications, and I'm hoping if we ever get through COVID, I'll be able to go in and meet with my GP again and look at doing that it will be a case of there won't be a huge withdrawal because so much of the inflammation and the pain is gone just by changing my diet. Just by changing my diet. I'm not saying that how I'm eating now has cured me, but it has improved things dramatically. And I actually ordered myself off of Amazon a yoga mat. I can actually lay on my back with my knees up, and I actually can do some core strengthening exercises to help with my lower back pain. And I can lay there for like 30, 40 minutes at a time before it starts to bother me. Whereas before I wouldn't have been able to lay down for even a minute or two without severe pain. Like today, if you'll notice, I don't have my neck pillow on behind me. And sometimes when my neck gets sore, I have to wear it. But today, it's actually not that bad, which for me is huge. It's massive. And I guess I'm sharing this because I'm hoping for, well, a few things. One, if you're over 40 and you are dealing with any sort of chronic pain or illness, it doesn't mean you have to feel that way forever. I mean, this worked for me. I can't promise that if you were to do what I'm doing that you're going to get the same results. Obviously not. Every single person is different, depending what sort of medication you're on, may determine whether or not, you'll need to eat more of a low carb, high fat, but with vegetables type of diet, or whether, like me, if you have such severe food sensitivities, like you have IBS and other stuff, whether that means everything's got to be removed, like, excuse me. at this point, like, my body craves the fattiness of things like ground beef, a good steak, bacon, and eggs, and some lactose-free cheese. That's what I live for. And I'll eat chicken every now and again, but to be honest with you, I can't stand the taste of it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's not fatty enough. I'll eat the skin, but otherwise it has no appeal for me. I hate fish, but if someone was to offer me lobster or scallops, I'd probably be all over that. So that's the other thing too, by the way. When you go from your regular standard diet and you transition through paleo, or even if you go straight to ketogenic or carnivore, your taste buds will change. I don't miss sweet things. My husband's like, no, you're lying. I honestly, I don't. I don't miss sweet stuff. If he was to put a plate of cookies or a Black Forest cake or something that I would have loved in the past in front of me, I could easily just say, no, thank you, I'm okay. However, if you were to come out with a plate of chili fries with some cheese on top, okay, I'm recording, dude.
Yeah, no.
Yep, then we'll do that. No problem. Alrighty. If I was to, sorry, that is my son again. His name is Aiden. He'll be 20 next month. Anyways, that's him, everybody. If you've not seen him kind of pop into videos before. But if you were to put a plate, no, not even chili fries, if you were to put a plate of perfectly delicious fries from like a proper fish and chip shop here, I would be very hard pressed not to try a couple. But I know that the thing is even when I did try a few on my birthday, yeah, I had a couple on my birthday, they didn't taste anywhere near as good as what I remembered them tasting like, which is not that uncommon. I guess for a lot of people that happens too. So that would be my temptation though, not sweet stuff, which is, until you go through it though, you won't believe it until you actually go through it, right? When you get everything else cleared out of your system, including sweeteners and other stuff like that, then you'll understand it, because your taste buds, they will change. But I'm sharing this because if you are struggling with fibromyalgia or any other sort of chronic pain, because I have non-specific musculoskeletal chronic pain. Really, that's what they called it. They don't know what's causing it. But if you have that sort of pain, I'm not saying just suddenly stop taking your medication. In fact, please don't. Please don't. If you talk to your GP and you get to a point where you are eating healthy and you've gotten your inflammation down as much as you can with your diet, perhaps, with maybe some gentle exercise, then you might want to talk to them. Just because you want to make sure that you're not over-medicating, but I certainly would never tell somebody, oh, just stop taking this. You don't need your thyroid medication. Don't worry about it. No. That is not what's happening. I actually, a few months ago, got my monthly box of pills of my thyroid medication, and I was clearing out all of my empty boxes and little, the little sheets with the pills in them. All the empty ones, I was getting ready. I picked them all up, cleared them out, and threw them in the garbage, only to realize I threw out the new pack, not the old pack. So I ended up having to go for 4 days without my thyroid medication, because I had to get an emergency reorder, and this was on a Friday, and the surgery was closed. And you know what? the first day I missed it, I felt fine. The second day, yeah, I was all right. By the third day, though, I had a massive headache and I'm starting to feel nauseous. And on the fourth day, when I was able to go get the prescription and I took one, my goodness, it took 2 days for me to feel back to my normal self. So please, please do not stop any essential medication unless you talk to your GP. But you know what? You can change your health. And I'm not saying, oh yeah, this is a great diet. That's not why I'm saying it. I needed to lose some weight because it was affecting my joints and because I was so incredibly inflamed by the food I was eating. And I didn't try to lose weight. And trust me, somebody who for years struggled with bulimia and disordered eating, I know all about trying to lose weight. So I didn't try to lose weight. I just tried to eat different so that I wouldn't be in so much pain and feel so crap all the time. So I'm saying I've lost over 40 pounds. That is, I'm not saying, oh yeah, take this and you'll lose 40 pounds. I don't know. Perhaps you have more food. Perhaps you have more weight that you need to lose for medical reasons. Or you may have only 10 or 15 or 5 pounds that you would like to lose from lockdown or whatever reason. This can be helpful either way, but honestly, please, all I'm trying to say is that this way of eating, for me, ultimately, and this is what it should be about anyways, ultimately, this, for me, is about optimal health. I know people can say that all over the place, but it is, honestly, it's true. Because I had reached a point where I was at the maximum level dosage for all of my medication. There was nothing else they could give me, pain-wise, because it would cause too many other side effects, and I felt stuck. And so if you're at that place, or you know somebody who is at the place where they've reached the maximum that they can, they're not going to get anything else chemically, and yet they're still in pain and they're still suffering, this might be worth exploring. And why not, right? If it could potentially help with your health. Now, I need to make a full disclosure and say that even though I'm not as brain fogged as I used to be, that does not mean that my brain is not oftentimes like a sieve. Now, the holes are smaller as opposed to being like a giant piece of Swiss cheese, but I'm not promising you that eating this way is going to make you have suddenly like a memory like Sheldon Cooper, and you can photographically remember everything, because I can't. It hasn't happened to me, and I don't expect it to. All right? But I remember things better than I would have. I am more clear-minded. Yes, I'm kind of rushing around on high from 2 large regular coffees today, which, by the way, I don't recommend necessarily because it will spike your insulin. But please check out these other YouTubers. They have some really great videos, whether you want to try just lowering your carbs. And by the way, you will come to find, shockingly, that there's loads of carbs in fruits and vegetables that you never would have thought about. I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be a slice of cake or a piece of toast. You can get high amounts of carbs in potatoes and carrots and that kind of thing, shockingly. But I really don't miss that stuff. And for me, I never digested it well to begin with. So please, 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 though, if this applies to you, please, 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 please check out Dr. Ken Berry, his wife Nisha, at Nisha Loves It, and that's Neisha. You may also want to check out, because she does, like I said, hers is a meat-heavy ketogenic diet, and he is carnivore, but they both have great videos on what is keto, how do you start, or carnivore, as you try to transition into perhaps lower carb and higher fat, good sources of fat. I'm talking like butter, ghee, lard potentially, but we're talking from animal sources, and protein. And I'm not an expert, but these guys have loads of videos out there. Also, please check out Frank Tufano. He is also a great YouTuber, and he can tell you about how certain minerals and vitamins are required and how they affect other things in your body. And anyways, he's really informed. I think he's a certified nutritionist. He does do weightlifting, bodybuilding, but he's also a really good cook, and he's got these great recipes, etc. Anyways, Frank Tufano, that's Tufano. Also, you should probably check out Kelly Hogan. Her channel is My Zero Carb Life. She's got some great videos there. And one of my other favorite YouTubers is Sarah. I want to say Steiner. I'm not sure if that's her last name. My apologies, Sarah, if it's not. But she can be found at Yogi Carnivore, and she's amazing. Everyone has a slightly different approach to, how they approach keto or how they approach carnivore, and obviously you can research it all, watch it all, and whatever ends up applying to you, do it. Because everyone's different, But all the information is really helpful. Whether it's referring to studies that you might find interesting, or just general recipes on certain stuff, or what about electrolytes, whatever, it's all there. And these guys are brilliant, so I recommend them highly. I know this has been a long video. If you guys have actually stayed with me until the end through 2 interruptions and me sort of waving my hands and directing, I don't know, I'm trying to land a plane perhaps, or a spaceship. Either way, guys, thank you so much for following all the way to the end. I so appreciate it. I really had a burst of energy today. I just felt like I really wanted to share what's helping me, because it can be hard, especially here in England. We are likely going to be facing another lockdown and a second wave. I suspect the U.S. is going to be dealing with the same thing, and so will some other countries, based on what's going on in the news. So I just felt like if we're going to be stuck indoors again, there's got to be a way to be indoors and keep ourselves healthy, especially because, as it stands, anybody who has autoimmune conditions, which I have, any sort of chronic illness, chronic pain, got it, inflammatory conditions, oh yeah, I was definitely I had metabolic syndrome, and I was on the way to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Which, by the way, quickly before I go, my HDL has now risen. My LDL is considered to be within the normal range, although I do understand that isn't what's key. The key thing is that my triglycerides have significantly dropped down. They are now considered to be within normal range. I think I'm going to I want to go back in for some more blood work in a few months and see how they're not only in range, they're virtually non-existent, because I don't eat carbs. So there we go. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It was a long one. I had to get it all out there. Don't know when I'm going to have the energy to make my next video. Hopefully sooner than the time between this one and the one before. But who knows? If we go back into more lockdown, then I may be making more videos. Just because it feels like I'm talking with people. So anyways, if you guys are new here, please, 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 if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, that would be brilliant. I would love to be able to make more videos knowing that somebody's out there and that hopefully you guys are benefiting and getting something out of it. If you are returning, if you could please give the video a thumbs up, that would be brilliant as well. Please feel free to share this wherever you want on social media. And like I said, guys, I'm 48. I have an underactive thyroid. My metabolism was pretty much destroyed from my years of being bulimic, and yet I have been able to reduce my inflammation to almost nothing and also drop 40 pounds in 3 dress sizes. I would say since late June, that's what's happened. Just because the paleo approach really didn't help me. I didn't lose weight until after I moved to keto, and then it really, really started to feel good when I switched over to full carnivore. So it's been about 2 months now that I've been carnivore. Anyways, I'll try to keep you guys updated. Please feel free to comment below. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them down below. Thank you for watching. Sorry that I ramble, and definitely I look forward to our next video, and hopefully you guys can enjoy this, and hopefully you will find it helpful for yourself or whoever you know that may be struggling with similar health issues like I do. Anyways, guys, there is hope. I'm not saying it's going to cure it, but it is possible to work towards optimal health, even if we are, because of our conditions, because we can't go to a gym or ride a bike or go running like other people, that it is still possible to get healthy just through a change in diet. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all your support and all your love. The Fibromyalgia Warrior signing out. See you later, guys.